Hello everybody, this is Milad and I'm here with another video today. And today I want to talk about the process of the general process of applying for PhD and the qualifications and requirements you need to have actually before applying for PhD. And it's going to be really different from country to country, and it depends where you are from actually, what is your original country, and a lot of other things. But I'm just trying to talk about big things and important things here, and I hope it is useful for you. So please let me know if there is something you want me to answer. And let me tell you a little bit about my background. I've already talked about it in different videos, but quickly, I've been living here in Finland for almost 3 years now, and I've been doing software development for almost 2 years, for the last 2 years. And actually, I came here originally to pursue a PhD. But after 1 year, I quit PhD. The reason was that there was a problem between me and my professor, and actually, the problem was pretty much financial, and I needed some fund to continue my PhD, but my professor couldn't provide me with that. So after 1 year, having 1 year contract for PhD, I couldn't continue it, and I decided to continue my path as a developer. And I've been doing software development, basically pretty much PHP, Drupal, JS for the past 2 years. There is a saying that I'm sort of jack of all trades, master of none. I've done a lot of things in my life. I've been machine learning engineer, I've been data scientist, I've been backend developer. In academic area, actually studied masters, did a lot of research, published a couple of papers, and then started my PhD. So I know how to apply for a PhD and how to win one. So let me talk about the general things here that I wish I knew it when I started my studies actually for bachelor's or for master's. And during that time, I was happy enough that I accepted for those degrees in good universities, at good universities, but it wasn't enough actually. Good university is not enough. So the very first point here I have is that if you're going to go to a good university, but you're not going to study well, and you don't have a good GPA, or you can say a good average score, it's not really good. Okay. On the other hand, if you're going to go to a lower university, a mid-level university is not really famous, but you're going to get good scores and good GPA, and that's better. That's my point. So the very first thing for applying for PhD, especially if you're going to apply for Canada or USA, GPA is much more important than the university you studied your master or your bachelor degree. That's the very first point. A lot of people these days think that getting a degree is not worth it. Okay, it's not important, you don't need it, you can find a job without a degree, you can study yourself. That could be true, that could be wrong. I'm not going to talk about that, but my point here is that if you have decided to go to university and study something, just do it well. Okay, you are already spending some time on that, you are already taking efforts to go to the classes, to the courses, you're taking exams. So why you don't just study well for them? Why you don't do your homeworks and your assignments? Take the opportunity, take the chance, appreciate it, and study as much as you can. I wish I knew this, because I did everything. I went to all the classes, I passed all the courses, I did all the assignments, but the problem was that my focus wasn't really on getting good scores. I was more motivated with doing the actual part, which was programming, researching, and this kind of stuff. It's really important to do these things, but the problem is that getting good score is also skill, and you need to do everything fine. You need to have a good connection with your professor, with your teacher, to get a good score. You need to study, in some cases, really unnecessary stuff. You have to read some books that you will never use it at your work or throughout your career. But believe me, you're taking time, you're already spending some time on those stuff, so do it well, do it properly, and that's my first point here. So good GPA, but it doesn't mean that you shouldn't go to a good university. You should go to a good university, but if you want to go to a good university but say that, well, I'm in a good university, I don't need study well, that's wrong. You need to stick to your courses and exams and getting out there with a good GPA. Okay, let's pass it. So if you have already passed those moments, if you don't have a good score, or you don't have a good GPA, or you don't have a degree from a good university, your university was really low level, it doesn't matter. The second thing is really important for professors is that your CV, your background, what you're doing as your research, in your research basically, your research, it should be exactly matched with what your PhD professor needs. Okay, if you're applying for a job, for a PhD position, you need to read the PhD description carefully and tailor your CV in a way that your background, your experiences, your skills, your papers, everything you've done so far, and all your interests be aligned with what that PhD description wants. Okay, that's really important. If your field is something and the PhD description is something else, it's not really good that you just apply directly with your CV. There's a chance that they accept you. There's a chance that they want you for the interview first and then decide about that. But it decreases your level of, acceptance. So it's better to write your CV in a way. Basically, it's called tailoring. Tailor your CV in a way that it's be a better fit, a better match for that job description or PhD description. I keep saying job description because PhD in some countries, pretty much in most countries, is a job. Basically, they give you some salary, they pay you some salary. So for that reason, it's basically a job. Especially in Europe or in Finland, it's under the title of pretty much job. The permit they give you is somehow a job. The other important thing is that it's better that you apply for a PhD with a fund. If you're going to pay for your PhD yourself, it's not really good. It doesn't look good if you pay for your PhD yourself. That's a really quick tip here. So paper, research, and publications, really important. If you don't have a good CV, if you don't have a good GPA or degree from a good university, it doesn't matter. If you have good publications and good research background, that's really important. That's obvious. It's going to take time for you to understand it very well. Having some projects, it's not really important for PhD positions, but having some projects in GitHub, open source projects, or having some experiences contributing to open source projects is good, is important. But it doesn't have that much effect, to be honest. Now, the big difference between applying for PhD in Europe, and with actually applying it in Canada or USA. So here in Europe, when you want to apply for a PhD, you need to look for the existing positions. There are a lot of websites, there are a lot of lists. You need to take a look at those lists and pick the positions that are related to you. So there are already some positions with some fundings, and the only thing you need to do is just apply for them. And the apply fee is usually nothing. It's free to apply. But they are really limited. That's a good point, that basically the application is already there. The position is already there. It already has the funding you need. Every detail is there. You can see if it is a good fit for you or not. But on the other hand, it's limited. There aren't that much, especially after COVID, after pandemic. But again, it's going to be more and more. Now, the difference in USA and Canada. To apply for PhD in USA or Canada, what you should do is that basically you need to find professors related to your field and the universities you want to apply for, and then just send an email to that professor that, in which you need to say that I'm interested in your position, I'm interested in working in your team, my background is this, your field is this, there is a good match, there is a good fit between these two, so I hope that we can talk about this. So if the professor has the funding and he needs somebody and he has a basically a vacancy, an empty position, they will talk with you. But in most cases, in 70% or 80% of times, they don't have any available position, and that's the problem. So you need to send emails to a lot of professors around USA or Canada. And based on my experience and based on what I see from my friends apply to USA and Canada, I can tell that it's much easier to apply for USA universities, because the requirement for the acceptance is much lower than the threshold for Canada's universities. The score and the IELTS average is really important for them. But for USA universities, the threshold is lower. So it's much easier to apply for USA universities. But the problem is that it's visa. So if you're going to go there from, not from Europe or from Middle East countries or from Eastern countries, it's going to be a little bit difficult for you to get the visa, and you need to wait in the queue maybe 1 year, 2 years, and that makes it really difficult. But I've seen that it's much easier to apply for USA universities. And one other thing is that if you want to, so first you discuss this with the professor, and if a professor wants you, then you need to apply officially through the website, and you need to pay a fee for that, and it's around usually around $100, while it's free for most of universities around Europe. Okay, but that's it. And for language, for Europe, in most cases, for PhD, you don't need to have any certification for IELTS or TOEFL, as long as you can speak English, as long as you can communicate with your professor or your community or the committee board, basically, that's fine. While for US or Canada, you actually need a certification of proficiency in English, TOEFL or IELTS, and they need different levels of proficiency. Sometimes IELTS, for instance, it's the minimum, I think it's 6.5, the average is 7, and it's pretty much similar for TOEFL. The rating for TOEFL is different. I'm not a really good expert in that, but the point is that you need that. Okay, let's talk about the salary. So in Europe, the PhD, in a PhD position, they're gonna give you around something, 2,400 euros, and there should be a little bit tax there, maybe 200 euros. And the salary for USA and Canada is lower than this. And one another thing is that, at least for Canada's universities, you need to pay university fee. Actually, you need to pay tuition, something like that. So basically, to study the university, you need to pay, and that's a point. So around 1,000 euros, 1,000 Canada dollar you need to pay for basically study for each semester, I believe. So, and they're gonna pay you $2,200, something like that, Canada dollar. And so basically you're not gonna have that much money in comparison to what they pay you in Europe. But that's pretty much, I think. It was nice talking to you. Thank you so much. See you soon.